Hi guys. So we just went into Jinky For, and this is a Jinky that moves from the Shadow of Intolerance to the Gift of Understanding and the Siddhi of Forgiveness. I really like to look at this Jinky together with Core Wound Line 5 because I feel like they're really connected to each other. So core wound line 5 is about guilt and blame. And when we look at the core wounds, we are looking at the sign Mars as the planetary activation. And we can see that that's where we collectively work right now. So you could say that this is kind of a karmic task where we could see a lot of the masculine archetype kind of acting out in an immature way. But now we are somewhere in humanity where we have the awareness and the consciousness, the awareness, the love, you could say, so that we can start to transcend and transmute and dissolve this core wound. And when we look at the fifth line in the core wound, I usually say that it's like a spaghetti bowl where you haven't put any butter in the bowl. So you have all these spaghettis that are just like completely together, and you can't take one spaghetti without getting the whole thing out. And that's how complicated it can feel to have that fifth line core wound, because it's like those spaghettis are your relationships, because it's the fifth line is a transpersonal line, a collective line, so it's always about you and the other. So in relationships, there has been a misunderstanding, conflict, and there is a lot of things that happen that would make you blame either the other or yourself, or feel guilt or put guilt on the other. And since you have this whole thing, it's like life could give you so many things. So at the end of the day, there's too much to resolve. You couldn't do relationship by relationship or spaghetti by spaghetti and actually sort it out. It comes to a point where there's just too much to resolve. So the only thing you can do in that moment is to forgive everything. Just accept how it is and forgive. And more than anything, I would say it's to forgive yourself, because as a fifth line where there is a lot of voice, projection, power, impact, there are going to be things in relationship where, both ways in that projection, there can be things that are said and that are disrespectful. So it really has to do to go back, and instead of just analyzing and trying to fix those relationships, where it comes is to forgive. And that's why I really feel like anybody that has a core wound line 5, this week is just an really, really beautiful and important and really essential moment to feel this transit, to really deeply feel it, and go in to read the fourth Jinky and see here. I would say that you have the key here for that collective wound of guilt and blame. And as we know, and as we say that those core wounds are collective, by doing it in our own life, if we have a core wound 5, we are doing it for everybody. And it's all the core wounds are important in, they have their own importance. But I would say that this is one, since it's a fifth line, is kind of the pinnacle of humanity, or the pinnacle of the hexagram. So when we are able to do this, there's so many things that can change. It is a leadership line. So when this core wound of guilt, when we can transcend it, when we can transmute it, when we can bring understanding into relationship and forgiveness, there's so many things that can change. So whether you have a fifth line core wound or not, this is a very beautiful week where we can look into a relationship and start to maybe feel into them in a different way, where it's not so much about fixing, but actually much more about understanding, and see where we came from and where the other person came from. And even if we can't really meet, maybe here in live and understand each other on an interpersonal level, on a higher level, maybe there can be an acceptance, maybe there can be a forgiveness, an understanding, and a letting go, so that we can dissolve that thing of spaghettis and actually start to live more freely. So thank you.